Hello, hi, I am Nobu and welcome to Seasons, a series where I sit down with some of the incredible people I've had the privilege of rubbing shoulders with, and we have a chat about, the different seasons that we've been through or are currently going through, in the hopes that you'll feel seen, that you will relate, and that you know you are not alone. Today, I have a special guest on with me. So some of you might know her from a video that she did with her husband, like I think 2 years ago. But yeah, I have with me today my sister. So I am the second born of two. There's just the two of us. So I have here my older sister, the deputy parent, my very first friend, my day one, my ride or die. And her name is Nomthandazo, but she goes by Nomthi. I don't call her Nomthi because at home we call her No, but it is what it is. So I have here Nomthi Kwebu, my sister, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because unlike some of the conversations that I've had where I'm like sitting on the outside looking in and like interviewing a person about their story, this one is going to be more interactive in that it involves me as well. So we're going to be talking about, siblinghood, right? And our relationship growing up, how it's evolved over time and what it is now. But before I preempt everything, Nomthi, welcome.
Hi.
How are you
Thanks.
doing?
Um, I'm struggling with the cold, but I think I'm fine.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. I anticipated that it would be a weird one because she's going to come on as if she's coming as a guest to a podcast. And I'm going to be like, why are you being weird, dude? Like, think should be your normal self. So right now she's like, I'm fine. I'm like, dude, that is not the you I know, you know. But anyway, before we get started, I'm going to start with some icebreakers. What is your
Okay.
favorite childhood memory?
Wow. Huh. Hmm.
Okay, fine. Or when you think of your childhood, what memory, even if it's not your favorite, what's that like memory that sits at the top of your head when you think about your childhood?
I think I think growing up, just visiting our brothers, abantwana bakamama omdala, Othando
Mm-hmm.
and Tandek, and
Yeah.
just being around with the boys, and
Mm-hmm.
I think
No
that's one
wonder
of
you're
my
always
favorite.
a tomboy because I'm like, wow, that is what you remember from my childhood. That is very interesting.
Yeah, I
Okay,
spent
cool.
some time with boys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you watch a lot of series and movies. Like you watch a lot of series and movies. What are you watching these days?
These days I'm rewatching White Collar.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like all my
Only.
series. Yeah, because all my series have ended, isn't? So now it's
Yes,
like,
you're right. Like about Chicago Fire and all those, like they're done.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
all 10, 15 of them are on hold at the moment. So I'm like, okay, let me go
10,
back.
15.
I think there are so many I can barely keep up. So these days I'm just watching White Collar. I had just finished watching what's that one? Oh, you see, there's so many. But yeah, right
Uh-huh.
now I'm back on White Collar. I'm on season 2 now.
What's your
Yeah.
all-time favorite series?
Hmm. I don't think I have one favorite, but then I think the one that had me on my toes 24/7 was 24.
24. Yeah.
Oh,
I agree.
yes,
That one is a good one. That's
I
such
used
a
to
good
binge
one.
watch. Yeah, I used to binge watch in college during the holidays. I would sleep like at 6 a.m., wake
Yeah.
up at 12.
Yeah.
So I'd sleep for 6 hours in a day and the cycle continues.
Hectic. All right. Okay, cool, cool. So let's get into it. So I did say earlier that we're going to be talking about siblinghood and how our relationship has evolved over time. It's I think it's easy for people to see like the grown-up version of us and how we relate now and think it has always been like that. But we're going to have like a bit of a vulnerable conversation about, our relationship as we're growing up. We weren't always the best of friends. For context, for those who don't, for everyone else, we weren't always the best of friends. I think for a big chunk of our childhood, we probably couldn't like stand each other at all. But obviously, we've grown through that part. But I'm sure we've maybe spoken about it once or twice in passing, about the past. But I don't think we've like gone in depth about really unpacking what our childhood was, why we related the way we did, why we felt the way we felt, and treated each other the way we treated each other. So I thought this might just be like, again, because the point of Seasons is to relate. I'm sure we're not the only sibling relationship out there where it was a bit like dicey growing up. But I thought we could like come up first for us, for the both of us, like to, talk about it, and so that it helps us move it forward even further because we've already moved from that. But also so that someone out there can see that, even if the relationship that they might have with their sibling or their cousin or their friend is a bit fractured, it can be mended. So I'm curious to know. I'll start way back then when I wasn't in the picture. It was a long, long time ago, so I understand if you don't remember the details. But I'm curious to know what life was like before I came along, if you remember. What I do know is that we always had like some extended family living with us. But I'm just curious to know what the experience was when you were still an only child for like for the 3 and a bit years that you were like an only child. What was that like?
Honestly, I have no idea. I just rely on what mom would say and the one, two stories of when I was a baby. I used to, I wasn't a problematic kid.
Uh-huh.
As
Uh-huh.
far as crying was concerned. But there's just this one vivid memory that I have, but I don't know if it's something that I thought of. I think there's a time when my mom left me in the flat and she was
Mm-hmm.
escorting mom or something, and apparently I was pissed and I smeared
Polish.
polish
Yeah.
all
On
over
the
the
walls.
wall. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
no idea if I go to hiding or not and how old I was. But I think the only vivid memories I actually have probably is just that one, and
Mm-hmm.
just the one story where I was told when we didn't have a car, when we'd get to church, I was this good girl. And the one time we got a car, apparently dad is the one who was saying this. Mom
Yeah,
opened the
yeah.
door, and the first thing I did was into the sand, 9 o'clock in the morning.
At church.
The moment we got to church, apparently
Yeah.
I started diving into the sand,
Uh-huh.
but I guess I'm sure it was nice because all the attention was on me, probably. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't sharing attention with anyone.
Yeah,
And just a few friends who are older who would just tell me, I used to carry you at church,
yeah,
this. He used to carry me. Means I wasn't a problematic child. I guess I was
yeah.
the sweet little, yeah.
If you say so. And then you're 3 and a bit something, and then suddenly there's this human being, little human being. As far as you can recall, did mom and dad like explain to you what was happening? Did you know I was coming, or it was one of those don't know where this child coming from? Then they tell you both them at the hospital. What do you recall that period between, mom being pregnant with me and me arriving?
I don't. The only recollection I have is when you came home. Apparently, I was
Mm-hmm.
pinching you. I was jealous. You can imagine, guys, 30-something years. I
Yeah.
am the only kid in the house, and then there's this little human being that's there that everyone is cute. Yes, gosh, I'm sure I was pretty much jealous, and I
Yeah.
think maybe that's why I started visiting
Mm-hmm.
um our brothers a lot more. I guess
Yeah.
to try and yeah bridge that gap because at least when I would visit that side. I'm
Mm.
the youngest, so I'm still the
Yeah.
babe.
Yeah.
Everyone is
Yeah.
feeling me. Everyone is all up in my face. But when I get home, there's like, oh, shared attention. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't quite remember a lot about my childhood until maybe I was in primary school, which at that point we were at the same primary school. So I do remember when we take the taxis home from school, and I would like sit on your lap, and then we would like use the transport money that we've been given to buy like sweets and all that stuff. But I also do recall that I think we fought a lot. Like we fought, like physically fought a lot
Yeah.
when we especially when we're in primary school. And for the most part, I was just like, I felt like this person just doesn't like me. As far like, what do you think was the root cause of all that fighting? And I want to hear it from you, but I'm going to own my part in it, my contribution to it. But I mean, like we used to fight a lot, and it wasn't just like arguing. We literally used like manhandle each other, and we're like 3 years apart. Where do you
Yeah.
think that came from? Like, what happened there?
Okay, so I think number one,
Mm,
remember, spending a lot of time with the boys. So I get to be all physical and stuff, with the boys. And then this little human, um, who's the youngest, and mom and dad seem to like favor you the most. So I felt like you took my parents away from me. So it's like I was like a third person. It's like I was this stranger,
Mm.
and now I'm watching you being all showered with love and everything, and everyone is concerned about you, and you're this cute little, innocent
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
Then here comes also there's the issue of you're the eldest, you need to, be
Be
responsible for yourself.
responsible. Mm.
And so you do something wrong, I get punished. You don't because ngumntwana and I was
Yeah.
supposed to reprimand. But I can't be a child to another, and I can't be a parent to
Parent
another
to
child.
another child. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So I think it's issues like that where it seemed like now that I'm older, it's
Mm.
understanding that you were young,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you
Mm-hmm.
needed guidance from Umama Lodet.
Yeah.
I'm a bit older. I can now reason better and stuff like that. So it's always going to be like when you are a baby, you can't change your diaper. You can't feed
Mm.
yourself. They can
Mm-hmm.
feed you. But
Yeah.
no, you're not like, oh, you can, pick up the spoon and eat. But when you are a child, you don't quite understand.
Yeah, because yeah, I was about to say that, yes, you're older, you can reason, you could reason, but by how much? You are 3 years older.
Yeah,
It wasn't that much. And fine, you had a better level of like reasoning and understanding and responsibility than I had, but you're
yeah.
still a child, right? And it's an important thing that you touch on, like, feeling like this person comes in and takes your place and they are favored and they're favorite and all that. But then you then say you understand because I was a child. But aren't you now from the outside looking, like when you're now looking back at that time, and now as a person who's going to be a parent one day, do you really understand mom and dad's perspective, or it's one of those things that you've just had to heal from and reason with and be like, it is what it was, I was older, so I guess it's explainable. Like, and going forward, do you see yourself behaving or treating your children in the same way you did? Is there some validation or reason to be to how they did it, or do you just think it was just like unfair?
I mean, I had the talk with mom and dad, and I shared how I felt when I was
Mm,
growing up.
mm,
It's only then that they made me realize that the
mm,
way things were done, the way they were done, is because you were younger,
mhm.
right? But I'm like, fine, I get it, but I feel like you could have balanced the two. We're just two, and they're two parents. Okay,
Yeah,
can I at least be favorite and
yeah,
Nobi becomes, mommy's favorite?
yeah.
But there was a time where I think I was a bit closer to dad
Mm,
than mama, of course. And I feel like dad and I are almost like similar character-wise,
yeah,
in a lot
yeah,
of ways.
yeah,
So it's one of those things where for the longest time I still held that grudge, even as
yeah,
we were growing older. Because now there's instances where I'm like, okay, we are now in high school. Come
yeah.
on, you still can't tell me she's a kid. You really still can't tell me that she's a kid. And shame, man, I kind of felt pity for our parents because with me, I'm like the first child. So it's like
Mm.
we don't know what we're doing. We,
That's a very
you know,
important thing. That's a very,
yeah,
very important point you're raising. And PK has said it a lot of time that what we don't realize, especially for like firstborns, is like at that point they've never been parents either. Like, but that as children, we expect our parents to know better and do better. Maybe on the second, third, or fourth children, which is maybe why there's a difference in how they treat them. But on the second, fourth children, you can understand saying, but you've been a parent before, you've done this, surely you should know what you're doing. But like as you were their first child, right? It was the first
yeah,
time that they were doing this. Yeah.
yeah. So I think when it now came to you, it's like probably they were correcting some mistakes. I don't know
Mm,
if they were, or generally they had the softer spot for you
yeah.
versus me. I don't know if maybe I was a bit more problematic when I was a bit older. I
Yeah.
don't know. But it's one thing where I've once even said it to Sabelo Uguti. I think it's important to make sure every child is validated and every child feels special. And I think now with the beauty of those YouTube families, people that post, and you see that some people actually take time to have dates with their kids. They might have four on a date with your firstborn, you go on a date with the second, the third, the fourth. Make them feel seen and loved and special. And I do remember when I once spoke about me feeling like Mama favors you a lot. It's like, but you are the one who brings new stuff and whatnot. And I'm like, bruh.
Valid. Valid. I was going to get there later. That you felt like I was favored, and I'll own it. Like I do think, whether rightly or wrongly, I do see that. I think maybe I was treated like more favorably, or whenever there was like something that had gone wrong, probably I would get like the lighter consequences versus you. But I think especially when we went to boarding school, I remember thinking that I wish I were you, because when you went to boarding school, you had the best experience. Maybe Zimbabwe was better than I as well, so maybe that contributed. But I felt like even like the quality of like the tuck, like the snacks and all that you got, like there are a lot of things that I know you used to get that I never got to by the time I went to high school. I always had to like wear your hand-me-downs. I didn't have a new trunk. I didn't have a new blazer. I didn't have a new anything. Like it kind of felt like, yes, fine, there's the sentimental, oh, sisters pass down things to each other, right? But also as a child who's also in class with people who are like the only child or the firstborn, or maybe they're the second or third and their parents have resources, and you always feeling like you're the person like who gets the hand-me-downs. It did affect me a bit, because I felt like you guys could put in more effort into, making this experience as special for me as it was for my sister.
I mean, you see, that's the excuse that mom used to say, oh, you can't say I favored Nobu more than you. I'm like, no, guys, there was bound to be someone who's going to get the first trunk. But remember, by the way, actually, the trunk was not brand new. It was mom's
Yeah.
But like the blankets and the what, I need.
Yeah.
Oh, so there was going to be a first person who was going to get it.
Was going to get,
right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then let's come to the realization that, remember, our parents were not even rich.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where also it's issues of resources. We're looking at fees and whatnot. And if I'm going to move from a single bed, and maybe now I'm on a 3/4 bed, and there are single bed sheets, why buy new sheets when it's something, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, I am not buying it. Another example, let's look at it. You were born in March. I'm a Christmas baby. Come Christmas time, we are going to go shopping for clothes. You are going to get your Christmas clothes, your dress, maybe your shoes. I'm going to get the dress and the shoes. Christmas. Birthday present again, Tombi. It's the same thing. But come 19 March, Nobu is going to get maybe another dress. So now let's look at the whole year. How many items did Nobu get? 2. What did I get? 1. Because unfortunately, my birthday happens to be on Christmas. Talk about birthday parties. I remember I had to cry for a birthday party in preschool. Because every other kid is having a birthday party at school, birthday party. So I was like, again, how far, guys? So I remember I cried for a birthday party, and I did get one during primary school.
Yeah.
But as I was, I have been trying to think, hi, man. As the years progressed, did I even get a birthday party?
Yeah.
No, got that. And I felt like, you even asked why we used to fight a lot. I felt like you also used to take advantage of the fact that you do something, I'm going to get the highest of the sentences. 1, I'm the eldest and I wasn't taking care of you. 2, why did I let you do that? 3, probably I joined in the sometimes.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say like I could be wrong, but I don't think I ever set out to do something specifically because I knew that if there are consequences, they're not going to fall on me, right? I would like to think I was not that devious of a child. After it happened and I have to face the consequences, did it occur to me that okay, fine, this is bad, but it's going to end. Maybe. But what I'm saying is I don't think I used to intentionally sit and plot ways to make your life miserable and go out of my way to do things knowing that the consequences are going to fall. I don't think I was that bad.
I don't think it's an issue of plotting, but it's an issue of if you barely, are given maybe a hiding for those things that you've done because Usiso Mdala has been hit. It
Yeah.
won't register.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
do it. This thing, the consequences are going to be so painful. So I then had that in mind. Number one, you're the favorite. Number two, oh, and you're also way brainier than me. I feel like you're very intelligent. Some of us we're okay, we're intelligent, but yeah, well.
Let's
So
pivot into that actually. Sorry to cut you off. Let's pivot into that. Um, we've spoken about like the material thing, the favoritism, but I think you've mentioned this a lot, the feeling like, like you said, I was more intelligent and maybe my efforts at school were more applauded and recognized than yours. Can you talk me through how you think that has impacted how you've viewed yourself and your capabilities as you've been growing up and evolving? You can tap, reach back then when maybe we're doing the same things. Obviously, three streams apart, but maybe where there's like you're both in high school and there's comparison. And when you move to uni, luckily you're still in high school, so you didn't really have that part. But I'd like to know how how that made you feel. One, from the point of view of your parents visibly seeming to like believe in me more or champion, my goals more than yours. So there's the parents angle, and then to you, just your personal angle. Alone, knowing that, or feeling like, my sister is more intelligent than me. How do you think that has impacted you and informed the person you've become?
Sure, I'm still dealing with that. Even now,
Yeah.
years later. It's one thing when before you came to high school, I wouldn't feel it as much, but at least I was one of the best in at least one subject, fashion and fabrics. I remember I once got prizes, like 2 prizes.
Yeah.
But when you're growing up, intelligence is measured by career. What those who said, you should be a doctor, it means
Yeah.
you're intelligent.
Yeah. They're intelligent.
And then those who are said, choose whatever. It's like,
As long as you're
yeah,
busy, as long as you do
as long
something with
as
your life.
as long as you are going to do something because Sikuboni is a doctor, you know. And it's not like, oh, mom will be like, no, you're dull or you're not brainy or anything. But it was like those small things where I could see how they would push you to do sciences and they feel like you're going to be this doctor. And remember, Form 1 and Form 2 were a breeze, if I could say. And remember the other time I once got in trouble for a can do better, yet it was actually a B, not a C or a D.
Yeah.
Well, but as we were growing, there's a thing where you as an individual, you also realize, lapa bra. Maths for me was the worst. It was the worst, guys. It was the Form 3, Form 4. Yo, hey, if I would get a D, I would rejoice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I was like,
I'm not
no,
laughing at
mama.
you, by the way. I'm just laughing at the situation, and now you're narrating it.
So, but it's one of the things where I recognize that, okay, I'm not so good in this thing. And I remember asking Uma, can I have extra lessons? It's like, sure. And the interesting thing is because you've gone for extra lessons and maybe let's say for improper fractions, you did them during extra lessons, you haven't done them in school. When you now come to school and you do the improper fractions, it's like a revision. So obviously I might ace that topic.
Yeah.
But being in a topic altogether, it's back to square one.
Yeah.
So I remember it's one of those things where there's a time consultation happened and yada yada yada, and then this day the teacher decides, okay, we're going to have a special class in the morning for those who are not doing maths.
Yeah.
We got a D on the board. Like, guys, let's aim for a D.
How did that make you feel?
Bruh, it made me feel dull. Like, we're not even aiming for a C. Like, he's like, oh, The
But
same
teachers are
question.
not right. Yes, teacher. Our mom is a teacher. I would love her so much. But teachers are not right. Yes, teachers can make or break a child. But anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But at the same time, I felt seen in the sense that how we got there is because even in class, the teacher would
Mm.
measure using the intelligent person in the classroom. So if someone who's intelligent got the topic,
Then
we're
they're
good
moving
to go.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
Tinaye,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
are slow learners, so it's a self-realization that okay, I realized as I was, going from three, form four, I noticed no, I'm a person who needs to sit in class, listen to
Mm-hmm.
something, go
Mm-hmm.
back to home, read, and on top of reading, when I'm writing notes, read out loud,
Yeah.
write. So it's
Yeah.
like four phases, and that's
Yeah.
how I would get it.
Yeah.
But Bible, for some weird reason, because Matthew, Mark, Luke have
Mm-hmm.
similar stories.
Mm-hmm.
I passed Bible so well because of like,
Yeah.
oh, I read you, Mark, Luke. Okay, the differences are here and there. You know,
Yeah.
and fast forward to we're both in high school. Now I'm really feeling it. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
man. It starts first with your grade 7 results. Passed. What were mine? You know,
They're not
um,
bad though. Come on.
you're not bad, but I'm saying compared. Yeah,
Compared.
but
Yeah.
compared.
Comparison.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and then there's the issue of you are being pushed to do sciences. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, girl, whatever. I remember as a dad saying in A level is for maturity. Even if you get a 0, it's just for you
Mm-hmm.
to just mature and grow and
Mm-hmm.
prepare for it. So even
Mm-hmm.
if you aim 5 units, once again, remember O level is D.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those where results came out A level and shame, man. Um, for once, I felt like while my parents were pushing you to into medicine and making me feel like you are the brainy, I was shocked to see that they actually did pay attention to what I wanted. Though I
Yeah.
at some point said, I think I want to do public relations or
Mm-hmm.
sociology, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So went to boss to wait for the results. I remember when the results came, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
Mommy, I'm not going to Zim at the moment. I don't know what I'm a BPs I'm in Johnny because I don't think I felt like I didn't pass,
Yeah.
as our parents have high standards. I mean, these guys were also doing masters as parents.
Yeah.
But when I went back to them, they're like, there's a school, the Philippines. We
Yeah.
tried to look for something that,
Yeah.
is, the things you wanted to do, but
Yeah.
no journalism, what? I think it's
Yeah.
a bit to that. Ne? I'm like, oh, they actually paid
They actually
attention.
pay
But
attention. I actually want to
yeah,
talk about when sorry to take you back a bit. When dad said the A level is for maturity, like even if you did you take that as a oh okay, thanks for that. It kind of makes me feel that whatever effort I'll put in will be enough. Or did that kind of feel like, look, we know you're not going to do that great, but it's okay. Do you remember how that conversation might have
it was
made you
both.
feel? That's both.
It was both. It was one of
Okay.
those, wow, really? Like, am I that bad? What do you
Mm.
say? Don't worry.
Noma yini.
It's like, vele siyazi ukuthi uzaphuma nje okunguziro nyana. And at
Mm.
the same time, it's like, okay, no pressure, but
Yeah.
pressure,
Yeah.
indirect.
Um, I want to talk about the period when so there were two periods where it was just the three of us at home and you were not there. So there's the high school period when you were in high school, but I think I was a kid then, but also I felt like, during the time when you were at home, when you're in your primary school, all through your primary school and part of your high school, we always had a helper at home, right? And
Yeah.
then when I was in grade 6, I think mom just decided that she was like done with helpers and all their drama. And we didn't have a helper. And all of a sudden I felt like I had like a lot more responsibility in the home than you did. And then I also recall later on, fast forward later on, when you then went to uni far away for years. Yes, part of it was in boarding school. Actually, all of it was in boarding school, but I'd also always come home for the holidays. And I knew that when I was home, I'm the one like who's doing most of the work. Granted, like mom used to, because I was relatively young, like mom used to do quite a bit. But I felt like you had it easy because as a child, no one likes chores, right? Now I appreciate what mom was doing, teaching us and all that. But when I remember when I was younger, thinking You had it easy because you had a helper all through the times when you were young. You had someone washing our clothes and. But then I've watched how, because maybe of how much longer I had at home to do a lot of chores vis-a-vis you who like left home early, that I found myself a bit more hands-on when it comes to like household chores and all those things, and not so much you. And I do know that like that sometimes like mom would like compare us in that fashion as well. How did that make you feel?
Mind you,
Mm,
um, it's different when you're doing household chores because
mm,
there's no helper.
mm,
And when you're still doing household chores, despite the fact that there's a helper,
mm-hmm,
there's a time when I was still in primary
mm-hmm,
and you were still much younger,
mm-hmm,
and I started my own little laundry here
mm-hmm.
and there.
Yeah.
I used to help around the house, even though there was a helper. I now used to help around the house.
Mm-hmm,
And me learning how to cook happened forcefully. I remember the first time I cooked ischwala, proper,
mm-hmm.
proper. Um,
That's pap. For those
remember,
who don't know, it's Twala is pap. Yeah.
um, I think I don't know if at that time we didn't have a helper, but remember how mom was still at the primary and dad was at the university. So mom would actually cook maybe the relation, maybe like in the morning,
Yeah.
and then during lunch, issue of getting back to the house and pa 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 pa, eat up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember, you know, lunch maybe is from 1 to 2,
Yeah.
past 1, masalunya, dalanya, 1:30. Now you're like, bruh, we are students. These guys are adults. And I
Yeah.
remember for the time, I'm like, how does mom make pap? I had
Yeah.
to, ow, because the pap came out right from that day onwards. You know, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know. So when I was in boarding, I feel like our chores, boarding chores, were more military than home. You know, at home you're going to do something, mom can help you here and there. But remember, in high school now you have to, yeah, there's the cleaning your room and whatnot, and then there's the school yards and the whatnot. So I felt like it was fine. You might feel like you had to go through that phase by yourself, no helper, and maybe I had it easy. But no, where I was, it wasn't easy. Because if I didn't do anything, no one was going to pull up the slack for me. And if I
But
didn't do
like
it right, I would get
there's like
punished.
30 something others of you also going through the same thing, you know. So it's hard, but it's military
But
to
no,
go
you
out
don't get
okay, you
to.
know. But when you're a child and everyone else is like, oh, my helper, my helper, and you know that now you're the one who has to, you know, do ABCD. Grateful for those lessons now, but I'm just saying that I get what you're saying. Like it's not like you were at a holiday resort, right, where there's like room service and all that. But I feel like because it's boarding school, everyone is expected to be doing that. It might have felt better than being at home and having no one to, you know, do all of that.
I get you. Your
Yeah.
feelings are valid. I've never actually looked at it from that point where for you had that downside. But for me, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, no wonder why she still gets to be mom's favorite. She spent more years at home. Again, there's a time when I'm there, it's two of us. And
Yeah.
then you get to enjoy everything else when you're just the only child
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
How many years is that when I'm in
Yeah.
high school? And then the moment I leave high school, you remain still alone, and I am far away.
Mm.
I I just came back once, and
Yeah.
that's it. Like for the next 3 years.
3 years. Yeah.
So I remember feeling it the most when I came back. Would no man, I don't fit in when I came back because
Yeah.
it was you guys now
Feels like
have
a
your three.
stranger in your own home per se.
Yeah, you've got your
Yeah.
three little thingy. You know, if ever there were inside jokes, probably I wouldn't get them. You know, you're going places like what mama, like what did you are tagging along, whether it's weddings or whatever. You're experiencing all this niceness and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember when I came back 2012, I'm like, I'm
Mm.
never coming back again. Because I really felt like a stranger
I
in my
didn't know
home.
that, you know.
I am telling
I
you.
didn't know you
So
felt that way.
I did. I did. And I didn't have a lot of friends anymore. So one, you don't have a lot of friends. Two, I think when I came back, issues of load shedding also had started.
Mm.
And there's no unlimited Wi-Fi in the house as well.
Mm.
So I'm comparing with, oh, if I was in the Philippines right now, I would have unlimited Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
load shedding. I would eat whatever I want to eat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have friends, you get out of the house, you go to town, you see your friends, you come back, and I'm there. I only get to socialize when on Sabbath. And again, on Sabbath corner, I've lost touch with those people. My
Mm.
friends have now your friends. I'm feeling like a seventh, 10th, third wheel.
Now I
You
wanted
know?
to say that, I find it, you really experience life differently even if you're experiencing the same life. Because when you're talking about, not having friends, I was like, I always felt like you always had friends. And I was like the lone one who just never had friends. And I think that's how your friends ended up being my friends, because I always felt like I didn't have friends. And so because sometimes I would take along with you, then your people became my people. But I always felt like you are the most social person, you're the life of the party, everyone likes hanging out with you, you're the good extrovert, storyteller, and all that. And then I'm just like plain and boring and introverted and all that.
Yeah. And granted, why you also ended up having some of my friends becoming your friends, despite our differences, I was
Mm,
very protective over you. I remember
mm,
even in primary when you came, there's a girl who was a relative of ours. I called her aside. Ati, Anile, my little sister, take care of her. I was,
mm-hmm.
in as much as I did not like you, to the point where, remember, there's a time I wrote a letter to mom complaining about you and yada, 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 and we had argued and stuff. And I wrote the letter, and mom was never supposed to, I wrote it out of anger. And then you decide to tell mom, yo, and
Really?
then you told mama, you had put the letter on top of a mug and you told mom what there's a letter, yada yada. And I remember me and mom fighting for the mic, and then she read the letter and she's like, oh, afuna ukuhlalisana nomunye umntana apha ekhaya. Aphuma ahambe. And I remember getting into the bedroom, opening the wardrobe and thinking, packing my bags, and I'm going. And I'm like, yeah,
And
where will
go
I
away.
go? If I go to Mom Dala's house, in a split second, I'll
You'll
be
be back.
back. Yes, because that's how bad it was, how much we didn't like each other, how much let me put it this, how much I didn't like you. I loved you, but your love and like are two
Yeah, they're
different.
two different. Because it's an interesting thing that you say, because one of my memories I have of high school, well, I was just like, yo, this girl really does not like me. It was after visiting, and I think mom had brought sugarcane or anything or something, and I think things had been left in your room, and I was supposed to like get them, then I didn't get them. And I remember during duties time in the morning, I remember you standing on the other far end of the corridor from like the senior dorm, and I was on the, and then I remember, yeah, come on, this one, come and get your things from my room. Like, why is this person shouting? And you were just so pissed, like, come on, this one, come and get your things from my room. And I remember, like, there's people around, people know our sisters, someone is screaming, and evidently I know it. And I remember just like scurrying across, like running to go and get my things. And I remember that thing stuck with me so much because I'm like, yo, I know you don't like me, but like to blast me in front of Pambe Wabanda like that, that one like really like stayed with me. I'm just like, yo, I've never seen someone so visibly irritated and annoyed by another person as you were that day. So I really, really felt like, this girl just does not like me. And then obviously there's that, the occurrence when we were kids when you took a tin, like the lid of a tinned beans or something, and you put it on the stove, and then you flipping burnt me. I still have the burn mark on one of my cheeks. It's like, you scarred me for life. Really? And you literally put it on my cheek and it melts. And I'm like, wow, this person really, really does not like me. But in all that, I did know that you loved me, but I was just like, why can't you just be nice and sweet to me? Why not just be nice to me, Yeah, it was interesting times. Um, I remember when you came back from the Philippines, right? There was distance because we had been, apart for years. We didn't know each other well enough. But I think there was something that was going on in my life, and I remember feeling like I don't know if I can trust her with this because she already doesn't like me. So I feel like this is just going to add salt to the wood, or that she's going to feel like, yeah, the favorite child, that child that they I think is all goody goody. She's the one who's like, who she's not so perfect anymore. So I remember wondering, because also you're my only sibling, right? So there's that. If I can't tell my only sibling, who am I going to tell? But at the same time, this sibling does not like me, and this might just go south. But I remember when I told you about it, and you were surprisingly very warm and understanding and comforting and encouraging about it. And I think for me, that's when things shifted, where I felt like, oh, okay, I don't have to like to put on a face, like a facade, like to maintain a certain image, because there might be someone waiting, to to capitalize on my mistakes. But I'm curious, from your end, having had these feelings of sort of like not liking me and feeling like I'm the favorite and all that, and then when I opened up and I told you about this thing that was real disappointing, I'm curious to know what your thoughts and your feelings were hearing that. And it's fine if you're judgmental. It's fine. I can take it.
First of all, rewind. I did not know about the high school thing. I don't even remember the whole come and get your stuff. I'm sorry about that.
You know what they say about like the X and the T? In Ndebele we say like we say "Ihloka liyakhohlwa," but like it's hlahla. So like the X forgets what it cut, but what was cut doesn't forget that an X was cut it. But it's okay. We're over that. We're over that now.
So by the way, I feel like me going to the Philippines was for the best relationship wise between me and you, me and mom as well. Ups and stars make the heart grow fonder. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason why when you came to me, the other thing is growth. I'm no longer a teenager. I'm now mature. One, two, it's experiences in a foreign country where I at some point I also did feel alone.
Yeah.
And there were some people who had their sisters there, and you're looking at the relationship that they have with your sisters, and you're like, huh, that would be nice, you know? And why I was not so judgmental about your situation was I was shocked that you actually even came to me and told me, knowing that we're not friends like that.
Yeah.
So, we're sisters, yes, but we're not friends like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was one of those. Of course, I was disappointed as an older sister, but then because of maturity, the level, the stage of life where I was at, and what was going on in my personal life as well and around as well, I understood the fact that you're a child. Let's get it out of the way. You are a child and you're going to make mistakes. Probably I maybe also would have made the same mistakes. I don't know. So it's like one of those, if I'm not going to be there for you as your sister, then who?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why deep down first I was like, the heck? And can't he? And then at the same time, like, oh man, wow. So with distance, with time comes maturity, where you have time to reflect. And the other thing, I had one over you, by the way, because remember that I went to college, I'm doing science. I'm doing sciences. And the Philippines, if I remember very well, our grading system was very high. It was a percent difference. So it would be a 8 to 100, 90, 96 to 98, where that. So if someone is saying they failed, they got a D, it's like an 80 something. So here I was apparently that I remember this very well. I'll never forget it because for like, something I'm better at than Nobu. You were not doing so well, I think, in chemistry or something.
And
I
hated chemistry, the bane of my existence.
Yes, and I had passed my chemistry, and I remember Mama saying, who never did sciences in high school, and she's doing well in college. I felt like, oh, they see me now.
To be fair, I'll always believe it is fine. It's fine. I'll let it go. I'll let it go.
So I feel like, they see me. They finally see my value. Oh, something I actually did better than Unobi. wow, this
I hated chemistry. Oh
especially,
my gosh. You know, when I have
yeah,
nightmares, when I have school night, you know, when those days when you wake up and you dreamt you were still a student and you miss them. I always dream of chemistry going
yeah,
wrong. Like I have an assignment due and I didn't do it or I failed something. I hated chemistry.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that was like
Mm,
took away a certain percentage of
mm,
my dislike for you because I'm like,
yeah.
okay, okay, useka humble manje.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I felt like even as we we're growing up, I felt like what Omama used to say and how they used to make you feel like you are this, got to your
Mm-hmm.
head a little. I felt like there was some there was some remarks that you'd make that would make me really feel like I'm a nobody. Like, wow, girl, she's better than you. Oh, she knows it. She's intelligent. She's Miss Know It All. And even as we were older,
Mm,
as we were growing older, there were some things where I'm like, whoa, okay. Hmm.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't blame her because they've made her think like she's high and, uphezulu. So, I mean, if you tell a child they're intelligent, even if they're really not intelligent, I feel like it does affect them
The self-esteem
in a
and
way.
mm,
They
mm,
also start thinking of themselves as this person who's intelligent.
mm,
And but yeah, but if you're made to feel second best or below the other, trust me, even in college, that's how I felt as I was going through the journey of college. It was one of those things where it's no, you have to pass. You have
mm,
to pass because wow, hey, abazali bakho, you're not the brainiest of them all. And I would get shocked if I passed a test or a
mm,
quiz.
mm,
Oh,
mm.
can't I can pass? Oh, I'm passing. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm passing. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's the distance and being away really changed a lot of stuff.
And it's been an interesting childhood. I mean, like our relationship is 29 years old, so like we really can't pack it into 1 hour. But I think in the last 10 or so minutes, I'd like us to talk about our relationship now. I think now we are at a much better place than we've been for the longest time of our time together. And I think for me, like I said earlier, part of how that started is that when I was open and vulnerable with you, you exceeded my expectations in terms of how you reacted to that, and that made me like feel safe. And I think later on down the line, you also let me in on some of the things that had happened in your life, and it also like made me relate and be like, okay, fine. So it's not unique to me. It's not just me. We are both humans. We're both make mistakes. We're both not perfect. We both have things that we're struggling with, and I think that's helped our relationship grow better. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are when you think of our relationship right now. What comes to your mind?
Sisterhood, you know. I feel like now we're no longer just sisters also, but we're now like friends, like best of
Mm,
friends. And like
mm-hmm.
I said, time and place and maturity.
Yeah,
I think now it's when you're older and you recognize what's really important in life. And when you go through stuff, it's knowing who shows up for you
yeah,
and seeing how you have shown up for me in so many ways.
mm,
Even if I wanted to dislike you, there's no way I would dislike you,
mm,
because you've been my rock. And, through my lowest of the lowest, you've been there for me and vice versa.
mm,
And it's something that I'm grateful for, that as we grew older, I let me put it this way, as I grew older, I recognized the importance of friendship, the importance of sisterhood, the
mm,
importance of knowing that your family member, there is no way your family member will do you harm if they're also raised right, and if they really love you. Because friends come and go, you
yeah,
know, they'll stab you in the back. But a family member, it's one thing knowing whatever happens to me actually has can
yeah,
can affect you also it has something to do, people also look at you sideways like, hey, kanti usisi wakho,
Yeah.
so that then just forces you to um re-look at things. I remember when I started working out, save money to just come and see you, in
Yeah.
college.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are times when I'm like, okay, would I rather send you the money and you spend it, or would you want me to come? And to be like, no, please come. And I
Yeah.
think from when you were in college, I think that's when we started rebuilding
Yeah.
the relationship me and you had. That's when we started rebuilding the relationship. And now we're like, once I say, dude,
Yeah.
then you
I was like,
you
tell me.
going on. So it's one of those things.
And then
And
sometimes I'm like, actually, you shouldn't have told me that.
yeah, like, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I not you, then who?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and and now the other thing is when you're now at the same stages in life. When I'm
Yeah.
saying same stage, like we're both married, we're now both, working. We can now
Mm.
relate on
Yeah.
things. We can talk about marriage issues because we're both married. But
Yeah.
it's hard when the other is not married, and you don't end up saying, "Ah, was this because you're not married."
Yes. Yeah.
Now we're both married. We've both worked.
Yeah.
We are both, the mothers in our homes. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're looking at us.
I actually, that you mentioned the whole we're both married thing. I actually want to like, sorry, take us back a little bit. So it's usually unconventional. Not anymore these days, but back in our parents' generation, for example, and maybe earlier before us, it was unconventional for like the younger sister to get married before the older sister. And I remember distinctly when I said, I wanted to get married. I don't remember whether it was an aunt, one of my grannies was like, you wanna ufuna uqalela isizomdala, which is like you want to like get married before your older sister. Why not wait for your older sister? And I remember you fiercely like, defending me and sort of saying like, let her do what she wants to do. Let her do what makes her happy. But I want to know how that felt, that not just people's comments, but your own thoughts and feelings also around it, when you've gone through life and planned it, you thought by such and such an age, I'll have this is figured out. And then here comes your sister who's like 3 years younger than you, and he's like going ahead of you, and how that made you feel, not just during the wedding season, but even for the few years after that when you weren't, married.
I don't know if you've noticed, but if one thing about me is I don't succumb to pressure.
That's true.
I do not succumb to pressure, societal norms. I do not follow that. I follow my heart. And it was one of those things where I had been in a relationship where I thought it was something, we're going to get married, and it didn't work out. So
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever, it's time to, and now I started working, like, let me spend my money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I remember, I think I even once said it to Mama, Unobi is in a stable relationship. Let her get married. There is no verse in the Bible that says everyone shall get married. There are shortages of men. So I don't even know if I'm ever going to get married or not, because us as women, we are not the ones, we're not going to ask out guys, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it was like, you got someone who wants to marry you. I was excited. I didn't care what people said, because you were ready. So I was just waiting for you to get married. I was, helping you plan, helping you push things, running around and doing everything, because it's your season, time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get a vision, which I'll get married.
Yeah.
So for me, really, like I said, I didn't succumb to peer pressure. They did make, marks, yeah, and stuff like the Bible. But I remember even saying that to one lady. I'm like, no, time and place. It's her season. We're focusing on her. Please don't put the equation, And that's who I am, really. Something good is happening for you and it's not happening for me. It's not going to stop me from feeling happy for you. I'm not going to stand and wallow in the circumstances that are happening around me. But
yeah, man, I think this is a good place to end it. When you say, you're always happy for me, I think you're genuinely like my biggest supporter, right? Like whether it's YouTube, whether I'm seeing, whether it's my home, whatever I'm doing in life, I know that if there's no single person in the world who's rooting for me, mom and dad aside, of course. I know that, you're rooting for me. Even on YouTube here, like, you comment on everything. You're the one to say, please don't forget to watch the ads, and say, like, notification gang. So I've really always really felt so supported and held up. And I'm really grateful that, we managed to work through things and work on our relationship, because we only have each other, right? And I think that was the other realization, that some people have the luxury of having a sibling that they don't get along with, and they're like, I don't care, because maybe they have 2 or 3 others to pick from, but we just have each other. And the realization that should anything happen to our parents, we literally only have each other. So I'm really grateful that our relationship is where it is right now, and I really hope that it only gets better and better. But maybe as a closing question, what's the one thing that either mom or dad or both of them taught you that you want to pass on to your children?
Discipline. Discipline. I would like to think we didn't give our parents a terrible headache when we were growing up. I think they raised us well. And it's unfortunate. I always say I fear being like my parents as a parent, being the strict parent, because for me, I'm looking at it like it worked for me. I turned out fine, and that's one thing that I admire about how our parents raised us up. Back then, we did feel like, this is too much. But now when you're wise and you're older, you understand what to know. The reason why they were saying do A, B, C, D is because 1 or 2 ways. Either you're going to end up in the streets, or you're going to end up where we are now. So if there's one thing that I want to take, it's discipline. How they managed to instill this discipline, although I might change how things are done in a way that there is no fear of the parents. I feel like the things we ended up fearing our parents more, and that's why sometimes we'd struggle to open up to our parents if something happened. But my children, in as much as I want that discipline to be there, what we have now with our parents is what I want to foster in our children from the time when they're young. Mom to us now, like a sister, like a friend. Same with dad, you call him, it's fun times. But if I could have what we have now and instill
much
it in
younger,
our children, that I'm your mother, but I'm your friend as well. Something goes wrong, I should be the first person you come to, because I am always going to have your back. I might discipline you, but it's out of love.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a long time coming. You were supposed to be on my channel forever, but we just never used to find the opportunity. Either I would visit home and I'm not on YouTube anymore, or I don't know. But I'm happy that we made it happen and didn't let distance get in the way. Thank you so much for the love, the support, and everything. I really, really appreciate you and love you, and I wish you nothing but the best in all your endeavors.
Thank you so much. I love you too. And wow, I'm so proud of the woman that you've become. You are so wise beyond your age. I always
a
tell
little
you
foolish here and there, but okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, but I always tell you you're very wise, and I'm always in awe, like, wow, this girl, So thank you so much also for, for having my back, always taking care of me, and just being who you are, an extension of God's kindness and, and love and mercy. And I wish you the best in your endeavors, and we'll continue subscribing, telling people to subscribe. And I hope your channel continues growing and touching people's lives more. I don't just comment for the sake of commenting, honestly. I would have really learned something. And I always look forward to your Wednesday installments, because I've been learning, and, well done, girl.
Thank you so much. All right, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for your time and your attention until now. As always, let's talk in the comment section. If you can relate to anything that we spoke about, in the sibling relationship, we would love to hear about it. If you're navigating a difficult sibling relationship and you'd like us to shed some light, happy to chat through that as well. And even if you just want to say a word to Nomthi or myself, please feel free. Otherwise, thank you for your time. I'll see you guys again next time. Goodbye.